Can I see in the chat good morning in your own language? So everybody can see some, words or description of good morning that they don't know. That would be great. For those who are joining us just now, we are curious to see in the chat what is good morning in your own language. Let me see. Labrit. Labas. Nice. This is nice. God Morgan, which kind of means God morning. That not good, but God. That's pretty neat. Morgen, yes. Labrit. Dobre rano. Check. Ah, Makwani. Well, a lot of words I didn't know yet. A lot of expressions for good morning I didn't know yet. That's nice. So what about, are we having a good or a bad hair day? Thumbs up for a good hair day, thumbs down for a bad hair day. Who feels they are having a good hair day? Oh, whoa, that's so? Okay. Are we all in, Tendai? What do you think? Pretty much. Let's have another kind of check-in question. It is officially summer, but are you experiencing summer where you are at? If yes, a big smile. If it feels like fall rather than summer, thumbs down. So thumbs down. Yeah, can I see some smile? Oh, I see some big smile. Oh, well, majority. It's also well, it feels like a majority is hands down. It kind of also a clear message that summer isn't anymore like it used to be here in Europe, or at least at this stage. Good to see you all, and had been quite a while since the regional meetings, since you've been working on prototyping and on storytelling. So today's purpose, no, today's purpose is basically to share with each other the progress you've been having, since the regional summits, what you've been up to, both in prototyping and in developing your story. So we have today two parts. We'll start with prototyping, and then after a short break, we'll move to storytelling. Now, the main part is really about you exchanging amongst yourselves, what you have been through the last couple of months. So what we're going to do is that we'll have in a bit a breakout for 15 minutes in which two different teams will be put together in one room for 50 minutes. Then we'll go back plenary and share some insights, some of the most significant things you found during the conversation. Now, obviously, prototyping is all about testing, developing a prototype, something that is physical or digital, and then testing it with your audience. Well, before we start with the breakouts, and I have some leading questions for you to look at for your conversation. Let's start with a quick poll to just generally get an impression what you have been doing. So can we have the poll, Tendai, please? The questions, there are a few questions. Have you developed one or more prototypes since that one shoebox prototype you worked on? Yes or no? Have you used the test card while testing it? Yes or no? And have you used the learning card to record the lessons you have learned? So those are just to get a general impression. I have also been looking at the folders on the G drive, so I get a general impression of what you've been doing. But this to share with the whole group, yeah, what you've been doing lately. So let's wait a second. We're still some people to go. Still waiting for a couple. But the trend becomes quite visible is that indeed the majority, now it's moving to 81%. Let's see if we get a bit more, if we have the last four adding. Well, yeah, it looks pretty good. So most of you, 82%, have been working, have developed a prototype. A minority did not do that. Quite a significant part. Well, I would say half, around a half, really have used the test card, and a half did not do that. So also wondering why not. Hey, Dan, this is interesting, is that although 53% did use the test card, even more also use a learning card. More yes than no, which is quite surprising because that it makes sense that you're still working on the learning, recording those learnings, but this looks really promising. Okay, good to have this overall idea. Now, for the breakouts, because in a bit we're going into the breakouts, or in a minute. So what is good, because we have 15 minutes, and it's important that the time is equally divided between the people in the room. So can you share in the chat the questions and guidelines for the conversation, Tendai? So everybody could see this, and it will be also broadcasted in your room so you can check this out. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so on prototyping, the key question is for you to think about, to tell and respond to is, what is the main assumption you started with when you went into prototyping and testing? And now, did this assumption prove to be true? Did you get confirmation from your audience on that? Or did you learn new things and did you have to adjust your assumption? And what is then your most important lesson? So this is actually the question that is good for you to respond to. Now, as a guideline for the conversation, so we have two people in the room. First person speaks and the second just listens. And 3 minutes, basically, be short, because 15 minutes is over before you know it. Be short. 3 minutes just to tell your main assumption, and did it prove to be right, or did you have to change it? Most important lesson. Then the second person asks, if needed, a clarifying question, if you did not understand or you want to elaborate. And then we turn the tables. The second person tells, and the other one listens, a clarifying question. And then we have, at the end, room for open discussion. Okay, so you'll be put now into the breakouts. These questions will be broadcasted to you, so you can check them if you kind of if it's not top of mind anymore. So, and I will jump. That's also go for Inca and Tendai, kind of between the rooms just to listen in. Okay, well, have fun. We are really curious to hear some of your insights. In some of the conversations I jumped in, I found it very interesting to hear people saying that their assumptions were all not true or only partly true and had to adjust, which is really great. I think that's the most ideal process in a way. So we would really like to hear some of your insights and things you picked up, were excited about. Who wants to start?
Can I just say I was really excited about the feedback from the Seville project in our group. They were talking about workshops and use of the indoor space to sort of involve people and connect, but also think about the climate. And I was fascinated by their work to use more sustainable methods for watering all the plants and foliage that they were bringing into the space. So in terms of using technology to reuse the water from the bathrooms, from the toilet and basin systems. I'm just amazed by that one, you've created the technology, that you've got that sort of designed for your space. And then secondly, they were talking about thinking about the soap that's used and how they need something that was useful that's okay for the plants. So creating workshops and involving people in the creation of that. So yeah, it's amazing. And it's just something we hadn't considered at all for our sustainable garden, but I really think we should now. So it was interesting and inspiring. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, this project was all about developing more resilient communities in a very hot area of Spain, Seville, and be more mindful of water use. And who else? I'm sure you had exciting conversations. Don't be shy. I'm going to pick somebody. Anastasia, Bridge Worlds. You have such a strong background, so you stand out. Can you say something about your conversations?
Hi. Yeah, well, it was nice. I was in the group with Alexandra, which comes from Belgium, and it was nice because we both have projects that focus on young people and their involvement in the society. They did a project on the elections that took part at the beginning of June, and it was nice to hear that they had a very good impact, and they managed to talk to all these students, and they had a significant contribution to their
Your sound is gone, Anastasia, all of a sudden.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Now can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, from my point of view, we have a project that's supposed to that's addressing the local communities present in our town in Tortona, which is a very diverse town from the ethnical point of view. And while we identified the need of these people to integrate in the society and their need to be helped with the language and students that needed to that have difficulties in studying and doing their homework, etc. We didn't anticipate the fact that communicating to them and sharing our idea and involving them would be quite difficult, because they do not speak the language, they do not take part in the society and the events. So now we're trying to find various ways of kind of not forcing them, but integrating our project as part of bigger programs that have already this kind of children involved, so we can reach them more easily. And we're adopting new strategies, and we hope that we will reach the people that we wanted to reach in the first place in this way.
Wow, very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to share?
Dagan, I was going to just say the similar thing to what Anastasia just said about it, about my own project. I find it's been difficult trying to get the people that we wanted to get involved, and I think it's because working through the libraries, we have I was saying to our group that we have, because we were trying to involve lots of different community groups, we have the community group that we've partnering with, but trying to get in touch with groups that don't always come into the library or don't use the library regularly, it's been a bit awkward, because sometimes you're just sending them emails but you're not sure if they're reading them, or you don't have a contact. And I think it might be we need to come up with a new strategy to get those people involved, like you say, maybe going to where they are and getting involved in projects where they're already taking part and trying to communicate with them a bit better. Because I think like I've been to different places and where these groups are, and they've said, oh yeah, that sounds like a really good idea, we'd like to be involved, but they kind of but there's some kind of miscommunication there. So I think that's a thing that we've learned, that we need to be better at communicating the projects and get the people involved who we want to be involved. But I was chatting to the girls from Latvia, and their project seems really good, and I love the idea of the tactile games, and they seem to progress quite quickly, whereas ours feels like we're growing very, very slowly. So yeah, but I think it'll eventually. I'm doing the community garden with Emma, and yeah, and I think eventually it will get off the ground. But I think it's just getting a bit. It's like having to rethink some of our strategies to get it moving. Thank you.
Also talk to the Swedish team from Karlskrona, I think, because they managed to reach their audience very well, but putting effort in going to places where they are at. So talk to them.
Yes, we had a similar conversation in our group about like how do you invite your target groups and how do you make people feel welcome, because we're arranging community talks, 4 of them during this time, with a focus on young people and people with Swedish as a second language, which are 2 groups that are maybe not as included in our city as other groups. So what we did was to work really close to different community groups and work a lot outside of the library walls to actually give the invitation in their hands and talk about, okay, what are we going to do during these meetings and why do we want you to participate. And we were also during these community talks offering food, which is a really good way of like making the talk a little bit more relaxed and maybe not as scary as just like, okay, we're inviting you to this meeting. So yeah, we have put a lot of effort into the invitations and also working through a lot of like key individuals around the city, like people who work with youth, people who work with citizens from other cultures and so on, just to make it make them feel more welcome.
Yeah, excellent. Do we have, Tendai, time to have one more insight before we go into the break? Then the break will be a bit shorter, but maybe better to hear a bit more. So is there somebody who wants to, Susanna, I think you put your hand up. Do you want to share something? Yes, oh, but you're muted. You're muted. Yeah, still muted, unfortunately.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I have a lot of problems with my technical ears today. Sorry.
Technical issues, always.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I just would like to connect to this how to engage the actual participants to the project, because I think our main lessons from the last month was that we can have some really nice ideas. Our project is based on a university library, and our community is university students with international and Hungarian backgrounds. And although they have a lot of ideas and they would like to connect to our project, but when the actual programs are organized, sometimes we lack the participants. So I can understand that a lot of projects have the same challenges as we have, and we tried different communication channels. So our lessons we learned was that we have to find, Paulina mentioned, key stakeholders, and now we try to find the key students, the key student groups. So friends of friends. So and that it will be more effective, that we first thought that the top-up approach is not really working in our case. So that was our lesson.
Yeah, very good. So
Thank
there's a lot of common challenges in that. So maybe something we should give kind of more attention to share good examples where they did work, so others can learn from it. So let's go into a break, right? We have now 7 minutes left for a short, quick coffee, a quick snack, or a bio break or whatever. See you back at
11:50.
Okay, I think we're all here. Okay, great, excellent. So now we are moving to the second part, roughly following the same structure as we did with prototyping. Now on storytelling, we discussed during the regional summits, talked about the importance of crafting a story so that people get excited about your mission and are willing to join you. You know, that's the purpose of a story. You all have a mission, a vision and a mission for change in your community. And it's so important that people recognize it, acknowledge it, and want to be part of it. That's why storytelling is so important. And well, we worked on different ways of telling a story, both in words and visually. Started with writing a manifesto, which is really the first step to articulate your big idea. Then we worked on a kind of a cover story canvas, so that you can imagine that if your favorite magazine or newspaper or platform will write about your initiative, how would it look like? What would be the headline? What would be the intro? What kind of visual? We worked on that. Then we had 2 master classes, one on pitching, obviously also an important part of your story, verbally, personally, how you tell it as an initiator. And we talked about the possibilities of using AI as a democratic tool to visualize your idea. Because not all of you are accomplished designers, illustrators, filmmakers, or what have you. So it is good to, yeah, kind of experiment a bit with AI or work closely together with photographers designers or illustrators so that you catch your idea also visually, because we live in a highly visual society. Now, first we'll start with a short poll, again, to see what you've been working on, to what extent you did develop your manifesto further. And so can you, and of course your cover story, etc. So Tendai, can you please share the poll? So first question is, have you elaborated your manifesto since that first time at a regional meeting? Have you worked on your cover story? Did you fill it in, kind of wrap your head around it? So have you worked on visualization of your initiative in general? And secondly, also, have you experimented with one of the tools that were kind of suggested to you to visualize your initiative? Yeah, it looks good. So really a big majority, like 98%, continued work on the manifesto, crafting it. This is really good news. Also quite a significant amount, 83% worked on the cover story. Excellent. Well, 95% worked on visualization. That's fantastic. Really excellent. And then whether you worked with an AI tool, well, a minority, well, it's a bit half-half. So 44% yes, and 56% no. There is still time, and we are definitely not pushing AI's tool, but just more of a really something to play with, because it is about how you, as maybe a person that is more familiar with words, how you can turn those words into images. So I do encourage you to still play with it, and if there are some barriers to do so, do let us know. Is it about accessibility? Is it about complexity? Also put that in the chat. What is holding you back? Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let's move into the breakouts. And for this, we also have some guiding questions and the same rhythm to make sure that everybody can speak out and also takes time to listen to the other. So Tendai, can you share the questions? So there are two questions. You can choose one of these questions where you feel most comfortable with. So the first questions, so as you've been working, all of you have been working pretty much on the manifesto and cover story canvas. You had also worked a bit on your pitch. What would you say is now your main promise? What is your main storyline? To put it shortly, kind of bring it down to the essence. What is your story? Then, if you feel you're not completely comfortable with this question, you can also say, so what did you do since the regional summits to convey your story to your audience? And what was their response? Because prototyping is not only prototyping of something physical or a game or a conversation, it's also prototyping your story. So we're also curious to hear that. So choose either one of these. Ideally, as a training, it's nice to be able to kind of convey your main storyline, but it's really up to you. And the same rhythm. So that will be also broadcasted in your rooms about speaking and then listening, clarifying question and the other, and then at the end some time for a general discussion. Okay, so let's go into the breakouts. So obviously we are very curious to hear some of your conversations, some of your insights. Who wants to start?
Well, I would like to say something at least. Dagan, you were with us, and you probably have noticed that I think, and I think my partner also, it's very hard to to stick to these questions, because when you talk about the projects and when you listen to another projects, there are so many questions that comes to mind, and so you forget about the questions, and then time's almost up. And well, it's also great and also very good to hear. So I think whether or not you have answered the questions, it was great.
Of course, those questions are just kind of guiding, helping you to guide the conversation. And especially in a way, I know everybody loves to talk about the project and to hear others. At the same time, if you're talking about, if you tell it, it's already storytelling. So in that sense, you can't go wrong. But at the same time, it's a challenge to be, in a way, short and sweet. That's why, hey, what would be your storyline if you kind of boil it down? But it is just to kind of guide the conversation. But I completely understand it. Maybe Monique, you wanna appoint somebody else, pick out somebody and just to hear his or her insights.
I hope they don't mind. I would love to hear something from Paulina.
Yes, yeah, I agree. We were also talking a lot about the project in general. Yeah, so as I said earlier, my project or our project is about including more people in the city and to lifting and helping people to realize ideas that they have for their city or for their community or area. And one way that we're doing this is through translators. So we're having this simultaneous translation in our meetings where we invite translators, and you get this equipment. And then basically what happens is that you can speak your native language. For example, we had an Arabic translator, so you can speak in Arabic and then you get the Swedish translation directly in your ear. So you can have a conversation with someone, both using your native language, which is a way to both show the people participating in the meetings that you are welcome to articulate your needs or your ideas in your own language, which is a way of lowering the thresholds to citizen participation. Because I think it's a lot about that, like making it easy to participate and making it clear that everyone is kind of welcome to be a part of the city.
Great. You want to pick somebody out?
Okay, let's see here.
You haven't heard yet.
Alexandra.
Oh, physics.
Hi.
So,
I know, there is an Alexandra and an Alessandra.
I don't know.
No, go ahead.
Who pitched Paulina?
No, go. You took, yeah, go ahead.
So we discuss about the project of my territory and the project of the Czech people who are, I can't find them. Above all, my project, the project of my team has as aim fighting loneliness among the elderly people and reducing their isolation and facilitating relationships. We thought to create creating together a board game concerning a board game like Trivial Pursuit concerning topics related with our territory would be an interesting key to connect people in a relaxing atmosphere, meeting each other and speaking about topics in which they are interested. And so we choose topics like food, sport, arts, mountains, and so on. And we are creating our own question and answer cards, and we will put them in a prototype box, and we will share the box in our 40 libraries of the network, because now here I am the representative not of a single library, but of a network of 43 libraries. And our first idea that was create safer and relaxing space in our libraries dedicated to elder people turn to be rather difficult to be prepared in the time of the Europe Challenge. And so we thought that the idea of creating a board game would be more exciting, more involving, and also easier to spread in our territory. So we are trying to prototype the board game between teams which are challenging in the different communities, and then if the idea will be a good idea, we will play together also after September.
Great. Well, thank you. I think I need to go to kind of next steps, but especially I also want to give some attention to your key visual that need to be submitted for the publication. I've been through the folders on G Drive to get an impression where you stand. And I want to share some observations on that and also some tips, because there's still some time to make that visual, you know, understanding that we are going to make a publication both online but also in the book. So it's quite important to have a great visual. So let me share my screen.
By the way, Alessandra, I think you have really nice visual. It's just the wrong dimension what we need. But you will see, Dagan will show you a presentation, but you really, I saw yours and it's a cute one.
Okay, so it's really important for a publication to have a very compelling visual. And so what is required is to have at least one visual. I mean, we are very happy to have more visuals, especially for the website, but to have one that really captures your initiative in a good way. It has to be 4x3 dimensions, as high res as possible, but at least 300 pixels. It's also important that the subject on that visual is clear enough and simple enough that it also works as a thumbnail, which is, yeah, a mini size, which you usually see on a website. No text or logos in the visual. There is enough space for explaining for the title of the project. So don't put any titles or logos of organizations in that visual. You can use a word or maybe two max if you want to make it powerful. Now, oh, let me see. No, I have to go to these observations. Okay, so what I noticed looking at the folder is there are a lot of photos of people in libraries. Well, it makes sense. You are in a library. At the same time, nearly all photos of people sitting around a table in the library is rather dull. I mean, it's standard. We have to be more specific than that, or zoom in, or making it an exciting action in the library. As I said, there are a lot of pictures have logos or in the images, or have a picture in picture, a so-called insert. Also, that makes it too complex to look at, and it does not kind of arouse interest in seeing it further. Also, part of that is too much detail, not enough focus. So you might have a beautiful drawing with a lot of details in it, but on a small scale, it does not work. And also be mindful of the dimensions. Now, some of you dropped multiple images in the folder. I suggest to choose maximum 3, but especially also point out what is the key visual. Because for us, I mean, our designer can crop, but it's very hard to crop something which is, for instance, vertical. So the composition goes out. Now, so some tips on that. So a visual can be a photo, it can be an illustration, it can be something graphic, typographical, but not on top of too many things. It can be an icon and it can be a combination. So ideally, a visual in a way speaks for itself. So if you look at this image, you basically see nature under threat by pollution, right? It says it all in one image. Posters for films are always also a great example because it tries to capture the essence of a whole movie in one picture. So this is one of the most famous and iconic film posters ever made. This is an example of a poster for a political party, which just says now, and then the name of the political party. It's so simple because it's just 4 letters. Also this, an icon or graphic that really speaks for itself. Or this symbol is also very clear. Here you see a graphic combined with typography, also an iconic poster of the elections of Obama in those days, done by a street artist. Also remember, your story is the most important. Ask yourself, what is your story, and how does your visual help it make it clear? So something that helps to keep in the back of your mind is to make it something really real, that it's really a slice of life, or that it's scary, or that it's very funny or absurd, or that it's a critique on society, or that it's awkward and painful, that is very honest. What we ideally want a visual to do is really to touch you, that in a way it touches a snare, that it is emotional. So here you see a portrait of a person, but because it's Muhammad Ali, who is both a boxer and a Black Power advocate, this picture tells it all. Now, again, an example of a poster which says it actually in one image. a meme, you know, that also is very powerful and kind of, a society critique. Do you see a combination of illustration and 2 words? An icon that really says it all. Something that gets you completely off guard because it's completely unexpected. And then if you look at photography, be mindful of you know, this is it's nice atmosphere that it's dark, but this works way better. Also in light, backlighting can be nice, but it can also, details can be dissolved or disappear. Composition, so here's a library, the only, which is, you say, pretty standard, but the fact that there is a person in red in the middle already makes it stand out. But this is better, because here you see that if you're having a workshop or as a conversation, you see that the photographer is really on the level of the table where it's happening. So it's a much more dynamic picture of an activity, for instance, in a library. Also here you see kind of the power of a great composition, or here. And yeah, do not use stock images. You know, people tend to use stock images to illustrate something. We see how artificial this is. This is way more realistic, or, you know, this one in action. So having movement, having action, having dynamics, it's really important. So those are just a few tips. You do have some more time and to submit a great image. And I think that Inka will share some timings with you and some other points to move forward.
Yes. So as you all heard, please go once again through the key visualizations that you uploaded, or if you have not uploaded anything yet, think about it a bit more deeper. Imagine this will be your promotion in a publication that will be spread all over Europe. So really, I would recommend spending time on that. We will share with you this presentation that Dagan now went through, and also we will give you some personal feedbacks. So don't worry, but yeah, think about it first. We need to really have the final key visuals before the end of the month, so we still manage to put the publication together. And last but not least, I just wanted to remind you that on the 20th of June, there is a deadline for those who want to actively participate in the Amsterdam Summit and bringing your community representatives with you. So just if you want to do a workshop or participate in a panel in Amsterdam together with your community representative, you still have 2 more days to apply for that. And thank you once again for showing up today and for sharing your updates and what have you been working on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. It was great seeing you, and best of luck with the next steps and making this visual work. I will give feedback on your visuals in the folder with some notes. It will be sometimes a bit direct, so I don't have to tell whole stories about it. So be aware of that. And see you soon. Next up will be the pitch sessions in August with Anna.
Yes, and we will see some of you in Amsterdam. And anytime if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. And it's always good to see all of you.
Yeah.
So have a nice day, and thanks, Dagan. Thanks for joining, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.